As Kamari, the community teacher, I'm here with Mayor Johnson, Brunswick, Georgia. We're just going to talk about a little bit his background, his election, and we're going to learn some. So my first question today is just talk to me about your upbringing in Brunswick, maybe what schools you went to, and just some things that you really learned in Brunswick that built your foundation for where you are now.
That's what's up. Number one, let me say thank you, Kamar, for everything you're doing. We've been watching the videos, the education that you're bringing to people. We just talked about the one that you did on Needwood Baptist in the school that came out of that church. So just thank you for giving us information that we don't have, teaching our children and people like myself things that we don't know. So big ups, man, for everything that you're doing. It's beautiful. Me, man. Born and raised in Brunswick, so I did every kind of school here. Golden Isles Elementary School, Jane Macon was middle school, the old Jane Macon, for those of you who know. You know what I mean? Brunswick High there now, so we the old Jane Macon. And then the old Brunswick High on the backside, man. So proud pirate, but had plenty of friends and family who were Terrors, man. And just really growing up in Brunswick for me allowed me to see a vast amount of different people doing different things. My parents were politically involved. They were culturally involved, civically involved. So I got to not only kick it with the OGs that came out of my church, Mr. McNeely, Reverend Tillman, and people like that, and learn up under those folks. I got to also watch people like Rashad Lee, Ernest Palmer, J.J. Fuller, rest up, changed the football game at Brunswick High, and we was in there every Friday night kind of watching them 99 Pirates. So we got the best of both worlds. We had the civically engaged world, but we also, when we with our people and with our homies, like got to see the growth of the community and of the youth in that kind of way, man. So it was just a beautiful time to be in Brunswick.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about your parents. Can you just talk about like what experiences you had professionally and politically that got you to become the mayor in 2021?
For sure. Like my dad, man, my mother and my father, but my father was really civically involved. He started a housing group that tried to rehab and rebuild houses in the southern portion of Brunswick. But not only that, if many of you remember, the Georgia flag used to have the Confederate flag on it. And when that flag had the Confederate flag on it, my dad brought together not only the deacons and ministers out of our church, but the deacons and ministers around churches in Brunswick, and made a decision that, listen, if we have a state that doesn't represent us even with its flag, we're going to try and take our money elsewhere. So we decided to, on Sundays, pack up the grandmas and aunties and granddads, and we went down and did our shopping in Jacksonville. So having that kind of person in your life who pushes you, but also showed that it may not get on the news, it may not be highlighted, but the little bit that you do pushes a change forward, man. And that's what really pushed me into it.
Yeah. So once you left Brunswick, where'd you go to school? What was some of your jobs, things like that? Just your trajectory into being the mayor.
For sure. Valdosta State University. Go Blazers. I'm not sure what a Blazer is, but we rep it anyway. The thing that I loved about Valdosta is it was the first time that I got kind of out of the social understanding of what politics was. A lot of the things that my dad worked on were issue-based. And I started meeting and working with actual locally elected officials, federally elected officials, to really learn what building policy meant. And after I graduated, went up to Cleveland, Ohio. My aunt, shout out Aunt Robin, my aunt is a pastor up there of a pretty large church, and I got to run her youth program. So I got to not only have this social understanding, not only have that political understanding, but man, all of that to be steeped and undergirded in faith was just a beautiful thing. And after that, worked on some campaigns, came back here and worked for a United States Senator Saxby Chambliss. And then I worked for, at the time, our Secretary of State for Georgia. So I put all of that together and it's what I try and tell younger people when they try and get in the game. I was blessed enough to make a choice at a young age that this is what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And then I worked my behind off to go get the background that I needed to come back to Brunswick and have the positive effect I wanted to. It wasn't just about what I felt like should be done. Mm-hmm. It was about the work that I put in to know that I could do the things that I was talking about.
Yeah, so in your first term, what have you really learned? Like, what have been some of the major challenges, and how have you grown from those things? And what have you learned from the experience so far?
It's been a beautiful ride, man. I think the number one thing that you learn is you come in and you got a lot of ideas about what you want to do, but you realize your ideas will always be shaped by the people around you and the people that you're representing. And I'm so thankful because we got a loud community, boy.
Yeah.
Brunswick do not mind calling your phone. They don't mind pulling you over at the gas station or in the grocery store.
Yeah.
But I've been able to take all of those experiences, man, whether they kind of agree with the route that we're going or if they feel like we should tweak something. They've been able to pour into it. And some of the major things that we did is, number one, if anything, Kamara, the housing prices in Brunswick have been crazy. You know what I mean? You just graduated Georgia State. If you wanted to move back home, you kind of stuck between, do I have $500,000 to get a home, or am I going to be stuck in an apartment? So we put a lot of effort into ensuring we put a lot more doors in the community, bringing opportunities to live, but also dropping the taxes for people who have lived here 30, 40, 50 years, making sure that they can still call Brunswick home. And at the end of the day, one of the big things that we were happy about is to get transportation, man.
Yeah, the breeze.
Yeah, the breeze. So if people have been seeing it around, we're blessed about the positive reaction that we've had. But if you remember, the South Side, we used to have Winn-Dixie.
Mm-hmm.
Winn-Dixie closed. So right now, it's a real food desert on the South Side. So for us to actually have transportation had already been lined up, invested. We see it running quite often from the South Side, the Walmart or the Target or anywhere else. So we're going to continue to do the hard work of what it takes to serve our people, man, daily.
Yeah. And you talked a little bit about housing and transportation, but are there any other issues that a lot of the citizens talk to you about, and what have you done in your first term to address those things, and what do you plan on doing in your next term to get those things resolved?
I think one of the things, man, we always struggling with is youth violence. And for me, the biggest thing that I wanted to do when we stepped in is try and give kids some positive thing to step into, some positive thing to do. And for us, that meant bringing back Parks and Rec to the city. Parks and Rec hadn't been with the city for 10 years. So the whole time you was kind of coming up, Brunswick didn't even have no Parks and Recs department. So it was on us to not only bring that department back, but to also get funding from the state level, where we drew down almost $2.5 million to build new fields, to rebuild it, to make it a premier facility for our children. But it didn't just stop there for us. One of the things that we want to do is ensure that we're providing them opportunities that's bigger than sports. Yeah. So we're investing in Coastal Outreach Soccer, which is taking kids on HBCU visits, getting kids outside of the community. As you know, a lot of the things that we struggle with in small towns, man, but here in Brunswick, being one of those small towns, is kids start to think that this is life. Yeah. They start to think that the 912 is it. You know what I mean? But you done been to Atlanta. Yeah. You've seen it, and now you're taking that talent and bringing it back home. And so we want to give as many children an opportunity to do that, to see what they can be, see the job opportunities that they have. But it's incumbent upon us as elected officials and elders in the community to provide that funding and to love on them and to show them the options that they have outside of some of the decisions that they make.
Yeah. Shout out to the Ducks, now the Titans, and the Raiders and stuff.
Coach the Brunswick Tigers, all of them.
Yeah. Sports is really one thing that kept a lot of us on track growing up.
For real.
So my next question is just, what is your vision for Brunswick's future, even beyond your term, and where do you see yourself fitting into that? And also, how can we get youth to really invest and engage to keep the momentum?
Man, if you get the answer to that last one, call me and tell me, bro. Call me and tell me. I think the things that we've been working on our team is just keep providing opportunities. You know what I mean? Just last weekend, man, we did a little happy hour thing at Breezy's. You know what I mean? Which is a new Black-owned kind of lounge in the city. And we just want people to have a touch point. We want to tear down the walls of politics, man, and people thinking it's government and policy, and just get them to a place where they're talking about the things that matter to them. And if we give them that space to talk about the things that matter to them, it helps us as elected officials, but it also instills in them, I think, a real thought that what I say matters, what I think matters, and I could be a part of that change. So when you talk about where I see Brunswick, God willing, after re-election and 4 years beyond, man, I've always said this since I started running. I believe politics is way too focused on the celebrity of a person. Yeah. They want it to be focused on one person can come save you, vote on this person, they gonna do this. Instead of being like, nah, we all in this thing together. And so the biggest thing that I could do in my past 4 years, and God willing with 4 more, it showed the citizens of Brunswick that the city we want is the city that we gonna build together. Yeah. It's not the city that whomever is the next mayor can create or the next governor, president. It's something that we gonna have to link arms and get done together. So I'm just trying to provide those opportunities from people of all spaces to come in, love on one another, get to know one another, so we can begin to really build community again.
Yeah, what's your experience been working with other like local, state, and even national officials?
Man, it's been, for us as a little city of Brunswick, it's been amazing. We have 2 state representatives, or a state representative and a state senator, that both have listened to the issues that we have in Brunswick that we want to get done. They are the ones who, for us, led the passage of our tax cut. And so for everybody who knows, the first tax cut in the city's history, you can vote on this November. So this November is very important to us, not only my re-election, but to also give that tax break to people who've been in the community. They've been great. Our federal officials have heard us when we have talked about environmental issues. You know, there's been pollution of our waterways, pollution of our soil, and pollution of our people. And in certain times, we see a lot of federal cutbacks of money, but we want to make sure that the dollars that are going into studying the effects on our body and what it's done to this community stays. And Representative or Congressman Buddy Carter has been pro that and pushed for that on the national level. So we've been working with him, man. That's not to say we don't have disagreements, or it's not to say that we agree on all things, but it does mean we could for sure work together on the things that we agree on.
Yeah. And this is just like this is a question that I have personally. Many people might not know, but tourism is really the biggest industry and one of the biggest drivers of economic growth in the county. But most of that money goes to St. Simons, to Jekyll, to Sea Island. For Brunswick, and especially for like our Gullah-Geechee heritage here, like from Neewood to Selden to Risley, like how do you think we can get more of those dollars to come into our community? And like what needs to be done for that infrastructure to be built for a student from BHS to be able to run tours for Brunswick from people all around the world?
Man, I think the first thing is, I'm not going to lie, it's going to take the person with the drive and the ingenuity to get it done. And I think I'm sitting here with that person. It takes a person with that kind of vision, you know what I mean? But even more so, the inner workings of the things that we have to do to ensure dollars come to our community. Convention and Visitors Bureau is something a lot of people don't know about, right? But your CVB, every local community has a CVB. Ask your local officials where those dollars are going, right? For us, we've spent the entirety of the existence of the city of Brunswick, we have never had a vote on the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Never had a vote. Just this past week, we broke through the hard fighting of my administration and the guy that I appointed, Brad Piazza. We have fought and obtained a vote for the city of Brunswick on the Convention or Visitors Bureau, so that when Kamari comes home and says, listen, I'm trying to build a network, we can say this is how we focus those hotel motel dollars. Because for those of you who don't know, the CVB controls all of the hotel motel tax dollars, or most of the hotel motel tax dollars in your community. So when you're seeing growth of a tourism market, when you're driving down 75, 95, and you see Golden Isles and that billboard, those are our dollars. So how do we use those dollars to say, you know, God bless it, go over to St. Simons, hit Sea Island, hit Jekyll, but also spend some time walking down where the Igbo slaves walked in. Spend some time at Neewood Baptist. Spend some time at Risley. Spend some time on Albany Street in the old Norwich. You know what I mean? And so the more that we can incorporate those things in the full vision of our city, the better. And that fight, I think, has to be taken to not only the CVB to educate them on what it could be, but also a person with that ingenuity and drive to build it out, something we can all wrap our arms around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
For sure.
Just, you got any more comments or just your like major goals for your next term?
Man, for me, I think one of the biggest things that we are going to tackle in this next term is a real Brunswick solution around childcare. You know what I mean? One of the first things I said is we're going to get more environmentally sound. When I stepped in the first time, we're gonna get it more. And we have seen, Panova shut down, but we've been on the vanguard and the front forward of that, talking about why we needed to change kind of what the next 100 years of Brunswick is going to be. We didn't want to see a chemical facility there. We're hoping we see neighborhoods, vibrancy, people moving, and a healthier community. We immediately said we got to tackle transportation. We did that. The third thing I really talked about was childcare. I am not blessed enough yet to have a child, but for my cousins and my friends who do, man, when they talk about that bill of what childcare costs, it's hard for them to get out of that apartment and get into a house. It's hard for them to get that newer car that they need to have more transportation. It's hard for them to take the job that's 15, 20 minutes out of town. You know what I mean? And so for us as a city, if we can really lock hand in hand with our parents and say, we are going to build stronger families here in Brunswick, I think the better it'll be for all of us. So that's what we're trying to tackle. Outside of getting brilliant, driven young folks like yourself to come back home. Because, we're not going to be here forever. And the more we can have people like you on the next step, we will be a blessed community for a long time.
Yeah, that is a thing, because not many of us go to school here for college, and then once we leave, it's kind of hard to come back for real.
For sure.
So, that's also something that I'm always thinking about, how can we even get people to want to come back and to invest in Brunswick,
That's it. What advice, if I can ask, what advice would you have for me going into, God willing, another 4 years? How could we do a better job at that? How could we reach younger people to pull them back in?
I say catch them younger. Don't wait till we get to college and already in Atlanta. It's middle school kids who are going to be in college in 5 years, and when they already have a 10-year plan for what they want to see in Brunswick,
that's good.
That's something that's going to, just have to give them the vision now before it's to the point where they don't want to come back,
Amen. Well, I'm going to take that down. That's written down for real.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Get young. Man, we appreciate
questions
you.
from the crowd?
Nah, but big shout out to moms, Kara.
Yeah.
You did an exceptional job.
Thank you,
classmate. You did an exceptional job, man. Amazing young man.
Yeah.
You're an amazing woman. So thank you for everything.
Yeah. Thank God for this meeting today and just being able to have this mayor in the city, and just thank God for the future of Brunswick, our state, the world.
Come on.
So, man, like, comment, subscribe. Vote for Mayor Cosby.
Get it up.